Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question comes to us from a viewer. Thanks to Andrew Schneider for this one. Amy uses Can't Stay Away to resurrect a grizzly bears while she controls Liesa. Later, Nick uses Lightning Bolt against the grizzly bears. What happens? Alright, so the first thing that I want to do for this question is take a close look at both of the abilities that are involved. We can see that Liesa's ability says whenever another creature you control dies. The use of the word whenever signifies that this is a triggered ability. Now let's take a look at Can't Stay Away. It says if a creature would die, then exile it instead. Now the use of the word instead means that this is not a triggered ability, it's a replacement effect. Okay, so now that we know what types of abilities we're dealing with, we can take a look at how they're going to interact. Now if we had two replacement effects, then Amy would get to choose what order they applied in. And if we had two triggered abilities, Amy would get to choose what order they got put onto the stack. So what would happen if we have one of each? To do that, let's take a close look at exactly how triggered abilities and replacement effects function. Recall that in triggered abilities, it's going to look anytime something happens in the game, and if the thing that just happened matches the trigger condition on the triggered ability, then that ability is going to trigger. Contrast that with replacement effects. They're always looking out for stuff that's about to happen in the game. And if the thing that's about to happen matches what their replacement effect condition says, then that event is going to get replaced by a completely different event, as described in the replacement effect. So you can see that there's a little bit of a difference there. One effect looks for things that are about to happen, and one looks for things that already have happened. Now, we can see that this is going to be some bad news for Amy, because the way that it's going to shake out here is, first of all, we're going to have this event in the game, after the grizzly bears takes the 3 damage, that is going to want to put that grizzly bears into Amy's graveyard. Now, there's a replacement effect out there that is looking out, and it sees the grizzly bears is about to die, and so therefore it's going to replace that event with a completely different event. Instead of dying, the grizzly bears is going to get exiled. Now, there is also going to be a triggered ability, and it's going to look to see anything happening in the game. However, the thing that actually does end up happening in the game is the grizzly bears getting exiled, because the replacement effect saw that the grizzly bears was about to die, and it changed it so that the grizzly bears got exiled instead. After the grizzly bears gets exiled, the Liesa triggered ability is going to look confused and say, well, a creature didn't die, so I won't trigger. And that's what's going to happen. The grizzly bears will end up exiled, and the Liesa will not trigger. It might look here like triggered abilities always lose to replacement effects, but I don't want to make a statement that's that strong. It turns out that these effects can be worded in a lot of different ways, and depending on exactly how they're worded, the effects might or might not end up being better or worse. So for example, if Liesa's triggered ability triggered whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, well, in this case, we still did have the grizzly bears leave the battlefield, so an ability that was worded that way would trigger in this case. You're going to have to look very closely and read the cards and reason through exactly what's happening in order to get a definitive answer for any individual case based on the exact wording of the cards involved. But that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again tomorrow for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.